psychological evaluation. See, if we stop using the IEP system and the 504 system as a punishment and use it as a preventative measure, because it is preventative. If your punishment is you have to get your kid evaluated since you're a non participating parent, then hold those parents accountable. See, because I know for me, I would have been 100%. You could have called the court on me because I took my child everywhere he needed to go when he started to display behaviors that I found were not conducive with a happy child. But the bullies, oh, well, he had to be taught to bully. Well, who's going to unteach him?
Let me ask you, what you've, as a mother, how do you navigate daily with all the anger, the fear, and the pain you're seeing your child targeting in such a way, in such a
First of all,
hateful way?
look,
How do
first of
you
all,
maintain your anger?
God,
Now,
look,
now let me say one thing. I feel bad for the child, the bully,
I
be,
do.
because somewhere he's being misguided.
Exactly.
Because if
But
he was
that's
being
where,
taught at home,
exactly.
yeah, if he was being
That's
taught at home, he would have a whole different aspect and way to where when Jaden tried to befriend him, he might have looked at him and say, "Hey, let me try it out," instead of looking at his race and how
exactly.
good he was living, and he's so hateful. I
Exactly.
feel
But
bad for
because
him.
these Discord chats are raising our children, we've got over sexualized children, children who are losing sight of their sexual identity, which it shouldn't exist anymore than erections and breasts growing at this point. They should be concerned about ill-timed erections if they have to stand in front of the class, which they don't even have to do presentations like that anymore. But this should be the jux at 16 years old, not worried about what 16-year-old is going to be somebody's baby mama, pimping things that 16-year-old. I got in trouble at 16 because I brought a Cabbage Patch Kid to school and they thought I was immature. And as a mom, really, I mean, honestly, I
How do you
pray.
control it? You pray.
Look, because my connection with Earth and Creator, and literally, I showed you earlier, but I'll reach over there and get him. Look, I had to ask God. I'm like, you're gonna have to send me something to get me through this, and
Yes.
he sent me
And
Francois. Let me go over to the
Francois.
cave to get Francois because. If it weren't for me being able to pray and God being look, I was like, God, just please, you know how much I want a squirrel. And so, look, Francois came about at the time that I needed. So Francois was very needy, and he needed to be bottle fed. And so the tenderness and the focus that I had to take with this little small thing, because I'm not a squirrel. So the intricate focus that it took for me to make him survive reminded me that my baby, that same intricate focus was not given to him. And so being able to bond with this squirrel with him, show him the value of life, and that the fact that, hey, you made it, the squirrel made it, really just touching back on the principles of creation and going with God. And look, that is important to us as natives. I mean, down to the point where and when I tell you God shows up, because remember, I
Yes,
told you they flushed his owl feather, which was significant for him. That was his first feather as his rite of passage as a young native man. So they flushed his owl feather down the toilet when he brought it to school to share with other people. But when I tell you that a week ago, a snowy owl, where I work in Colonial Williamsburg as an Afro Indigenous interpreter, we had a snowy owl that it crossed over. And so the owl was back there. We were able to process the owl, and everybody got feathers for the encampment where we are already indigenous. And I got my son, my older son, and one of the other girls we work with processed it, and she made sure to replace his owl feather.
awesome.
So that connection to creator and understanding that it's important for us as Afro-Indigenous peoples to connect, because this is the land, this is where my mother's tribe came here. We're connected to the Mattapanai and the Rappahannock. And so it's important for me to help him understand that, proud Afro-Indigenous peoples here with the Nottoway, the palm monkey, having him able to see himself in something
Mhm.
other than ghetto rap culture.
Yeah.
That's not who we are as a whole. And I'm so tired of that. That,
Mhm.
anything outside of the norm where everybody in these apartments are living like they're living in urban upstate New York. It is really not that serious in Virginia. The
Mhm.
mentality that exists With if you can't afford 5 kids, don't have 5 kids,
Mhm.
sisters of all colors. If you can't
Mhm.
afford the baby, don't have the baby, because the stress you create for your children when you cannot give them the attention they need is why we have so many bullies. These are kids who need love, but they don't know how to receive it because it's never been extended to them in the proper fashion.
Mhm.
They've either been maintained or tolerated.
Yeah.
Because a child with love in their heart would do exactly what my son did. Understand, this kid's got a tough time. This kid did share with my son the information about his mother and his father being in jail. And my son really did want to reach out and tell him, oh, my
Yes.
mom's really cool. You should come to the house. My mom works on cars with us. And, that's the joke at the auto parts stuff. We go up there and they're like, your mom came car parts picking because I've been mom and dad to my boys.
Right.
And so, given the opportunity, he could have come to our house and experienced some love, maybe some maternal compassion that he's missing without his mother. But
Mhm.
without the
But
responsible people to intervene, that
without
couldn't
the
happen.
proper guidance, without the proper
Exactly.
guidance, because somewhere down the line, this child is not being monitored. He hates the fact that I don't know if it's more so I can't I don't know, I'm not in his brain, but I don't know if more so if it's hate because
Look,
Jaden is
psychologically,
living
it's that
good,
when
or
he
is it because he's black?
and I believe that it is not, even if you want to get to the root cause, honestly, I don't believe it's either. I believe that that's what he feels he needs to forwardly project to express
Mm.
this anger at Jaden. But I believe that in seeing Jaden's mom showed up. I don't have a mom.
Yeah.
Jaden's
Yeah.
mom keeps showing up. So the idea is to piss me off because it's
Mhm.
that deep and he doesn't understand that this is transference. I don't have a mom. My dad's in jail. My grandpa lets me do what I want. That is not I'm bragging. That is a cry for help. I don't have a safe
Yeah.
space when I go home.
Yes. A cry for help. You hit that right on the nose. I believe the child has a cry for help, but the system, his grandparent, is not
Exactly.
supporting and give the child what he needs.
Exactly. And let
So,
me tell you about that system as we speak of it. So when Jaden needed mental health here at the high school, I asked for him to speak to the guidance counselor. Do you know that they have paid mental health professionals in the high school and tell you they're going to send them to the counselor? Send them to a counselor and then send you a bill.
mm,
He was already in counseling at District 19 free because they found that the school had been unsupportive. But when he went to see CVHS here at the school, because they have some little underground subclinic where you could get birth control, you could do everything you want without requiring a parent to be present, because they think they're doing us a favor. What they're doing is taking the liability off of parents for being parents, counseling your children on keeping their legs closed. Raise them up to have self value, that their vaginas and their penises are not the value of who they are as a person, nor is their skin color. It's the content of their hearts, their minds, and how they treat other human beings. But we've gotten so far away from that because everybody want to be on a platform. And I am an advocate. I
yes.
identify as queer, but that is not the focus for school. It is not
Mhm.
focusing. No child should be transitioning until
Mhm.
they are adults. That is things you can't do. So no, I don't support it. And I'm queer. And I'm one of the few queer voices that says we do not give those drugs to our children while their bodies and minds are still forming. Because when we do
Therefore,
that,
yes.
what happens if in the end your young daughter, who seems to identify as male right now, you give her testosterone, she can't have babies? And what happens if she's 28 years old and realizes that that top surgery she got at 17 is not what she wanted, that she wants to be a lesbian and live her life with another woman and she can't have children? Now that's another cycle of depression because she
Mhm.
has to contend with the fact that only her partner can carry the child because of decisions that adults made. No, 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 no. Mental health, yes. Mental health, yes. We foster them on their journey. We do not butcher our children. We do not continue to perpetuate sexuality in an environment where education should be tantamount. That's the
Mhm.
problem. Everybody's so caught up in where we're going to pee and who's on social media that children have lost sight of learning.
Yes. So agree. What message would you give to a parent who, especially mothers whose children are facing bullying, racism, and neglect from schools? Now, we've already heard the what advice that you have for those other children who
Look,
are
and I'm
being
a double
raised?
down. I'm a double down. Parents, stop being afraid to take your children out of school systems that are not working for you. Use your voice and start talking to the news, to the media, everywhere else. Stop sending your children back into the danger zone because somebody tells you because we're black, we should trust each other. No,
That's
you
right.
don't trust them any more than you trust strange white people with your children. And white people, same thing. Do not trust anybody because they lean into you on race baiting. Racial identity means nothing.
That's right.
Nothing, because
Because
I'm tired.
the police officer that said he was a YN, his race was
Black. Black. He is supposed to be a pillar of the black community, but said my
mm,
son was acting like a young nigger. Really, that's how we talk professionally to people. But then also when I showed up, Jaden, I didn't know your mom was Hawaiian. Because my
wow.
first name is Naoki and because I took a flat iron to the hair that I purchased. See, if my hair wouldn't have blended in so good with the beauty store hair, they would have seen if they'd have looked a little harder and paid
Mhm.
attention that I am black. But again, the perception is that Jaden's mom is Spanish, and I'm tired of us being uneducated. Spanish is not a race. That is
It's
not a
not.
creed. And everybody, she's Spanish. Oh, we are so content in our ignorance. That's why we can't get ahead because people like us who don't go for the this, that, yo, people who come into a space using proper vernacular, and then when we're amongst our friends again, we adopt what's comfortable for us. We're not well received either because when I speak intelligently, oh, she acts white. Oh, here
Right.
come his mama
You know,
then
I
acting white.
never
What
could
the hell is
understand
acting
that.
white?
I never could
Please.
understand that growing up. It's like you talk white. Like even my granddaughter. Why is it white? Why couldn't it just be a proper
What?
way,
Exactly.
set
Look,
a
my
proper
mom went to school
vocabulary?
in England. My mom drops her H's. So my mother looks like me. It's very, very, very much a black woman, and she'll drop the H. She doesn't even say the letter H correctly. She grew up in England because my grandfather was in the Air Force. My parents did not raise me to sound like, as the officer would say, those YNs. So
Yes.
I don't promote it. And then the moms who, if you want your son's butt hanging out, like he's been for free in prison, we need to stop with this damn prison culture. Everybody we love on TV locked up. That's ignorant. That's why our children perpetuate that. Because young moms stripping, want to be friends with their daughters, have them out here in the lifestyle. Yeah, young and fast. That's us. Until we clean it up. And it's white people too. Until this generation stops trying to be friends half dressed with their kids, we're going to
Mhm.
continue to have a mental health problem because the problem is most of these children were raised by first generation iPads, and now we on what, the 10th generation? So we
Yes.
got 10 generations of iPad raising misinformed youth who are
Hmm.
being incentivized and incentivized and actuated on things like Discord, who are teaching them to groom each other. It's other sick adults with no culpability. And instead of us checking on, we know our kids are on Discord. Why as parents haven't we done something to get some ordinances to shut this down? Because it's easier to go in because most of us can't not are retired working two jobs. I know I am. It is
Do
not an
they?
option.
So now there's a dating site on one of the. Is that Roblox?
Yes.
They're putting a dating site on
Oh,
Roblox.
Roblox had another chat forum where they were grooming people to kill their pets. Expose sexual content. Now let me tell you what happened. I had an experience with one of my family members who sent a picture in underwear at the age of 14, and guess what? They got in trouble too. They and the recipient
Hmm.
were on probation
Hmm.
in another state. Against, they could not have any electronics for 3 years.
Wow. Hmm.
And maybe if we stop letting damn cell phones in school. Look, I'm for everybody being able, but them little Ziploc bags, everybody, remember how you used to have to put your baby's diaper bag in a cubby at the daycare center?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
exactly where them phones should go. Them teachers should have shoe trees where you put your phone and at the
Hmm.
end of class, but then still, that phone by these parents, the phone need to be locked down during school hours. I'm tired of seeing glossy lips and short skirts. I'm tired of seeing no chest muscles flexing in the middle of the school day. You not strong enough to get your lesson, but you standing out with all 87 pounds and a bird chest flexing, talking about I get all the bitches. Or I'm a hot bitch. Why are we bitches? Why are we bitches and pimps?
You know why? Because I will say, because television, number one, is
And a
that
lack of parental
a
guidance.
lack of parental guidance. This is the cycle that they will have us in
Woo,
to keep
no.
us where we're
Because
now.
I'm a
That's
bad bitch. I'm a bad bitch. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
yes,
I
that's
am
a
a
whole
woman
door.
of character.
Yes.
I am an experienced veteran. I am
Yes.
a peer ally.
And you see what they call us when we're educated. Jasmine Crockett, for example, you
Oh,
see she's so ghetto, even though she was properly raised with a two-parent household, educated.
right.
Now
But
she's
she's ghetto
ghetto.
because she wears false eyelashes. Oh, Lord, help me and my light skinned self if I get up there, because then there comes the other argument. This is the other one. Because I'm light skinned, I expect. No, it's because I am a parent who expects that when you take a job as a teacher, if you're gonna sit up here and talk about how much you don't get paid, then show me what kind, because you getting paid exactly for what you're doing for my child right now. I will not advocate for facilitators who don't facilitate. And that my problem being that again, I'm a course curriculum developer and I develop courses for missile systems and such. Sure, thank you,
Mhm.
US Army. Yeah. For making me fantabulous after the Marine Corps decorated me well. The Army put more jewels in my crown. So when
Yes.
I'm Addie certified to teach and I go give you my credentials and I can be a substitute teacher, but because you don't see me at First Baptist Church, maybe I go to church on base with the rest of my constituents, ma'am. Maybe I used to work for the
Mhm.
command chaplain, so I know all the chaplains over there and they've known me since I was a young Marine, so it makes more sense to be in an environment in which I'm familiar.
Familiar with. I so
Woo!
agree with that.
Oh
I
my
so agree
goodness.
with that.
You gonna judge me because I don't come to your church. When your pastor 4 years ago, and I do my research, your pastor was in trouble with a different church under a different name and is in a new name driving a purple Cadillac. I have no interest. Thank you.
With that being said, so look, we have you started a GoFundMe and to retain a lawyer for Jaden,
Yes.
and so what was the amount that you have?
I think we had it up because everybody was saying like 10,000. I don't believe that that is for a special education lawyer. I think we put it at 5,500 because that at least can get us somebody who specializes in special education. And it's not just justice for Jaden. We have a lot of special education students who have been abused here in Petersburg, and I'm an advocate. I am autistic.
Mhm.
All three of my children are autistic. I went to Montessori school, and because of where we were, my dad was a Marine in California at the time. So in 1975 through my school, I was a product of Department of Defense schools. And because of that being on base, my teachers were professors. You had to have at least 2 years of collegiate teaching, be it at a community college or at a major university to teach at DoD schools at one time. So I am the product of a good education. And so for me, understanding that that's a necessity, when we don't have the proper resources for special education, they become bad kids by nature. Jaden's autistic, he gets bored, he stems, and then because the teacher is acting ignorant, he makes a comment. Now he's a bad kid because he's got a snappy mouth. Well, when he knows that you're a teacher and you shouldn't be engaging in certain behavior and he calls you on it in front of the class and then you punish him. Well, if we had more assistants in the classrooms like we're required, and this cut to the Department of Education, maybe if some oversight to happen, you know what? Roll it up underneath the government. Make the IG have to inspect it every year like everything else in the military. See, if we start making sublets, how about all of us military instructors who are ADDIE certified up to the 5th grade? If we need supplements, how about call some of us back to active duty who would like to facilitate? How about those of us who are retired who could facilitate for the DoD, who are already doing it for our soldiers, sailors, Marines, and Coast Guard right now? Make that a department of the military and run it tight, tight like
Well,
a
you know what?
ship.
With the administration we have right now, I
Lord,
don't even. That's a
Lord, no,
whole
because
nother
let me tell
segment.
you, I am not, I have interacted, and yeah, Pete Hegseth, while he was a Marine, wasn't anything to talk about. So our department, our
Yes.
war chief, while we wasted money changing names of departments, being asinine because somebody's ego, because he's going senile right in front of us. And yes, I'll continue to say it. I have served under everyone. Did I want to go to war in Iraq? No. Did I
No.
have an attitude with President Bush when I met him? Yes.
Yeah.
because I went to stand next to General Krulak and Sergeant Major Barrett because I had nothing to say to him when they caught him on a hot mic saying they tried to shoot my goddamn daddy. That's what we went to war for, not because we vetted everybody else. And when me and my husband kept having to deploy, I developed a callous skin. But did I ever act like this? No. I did my
Mhm.
job. And for those of us
You
still
did,
serving,
yes.
not getting paid because his ego is so big, that is an affront. And then for him to take away health care for the very kids, my kid is getting counseling because he's autistic. That kid has parents in jail. So for this time, it's not the black kid who has the stereotypical house. It's not the black kid in the trailer park. It's not the black kid being the bully. It's not the black kid, and I don't hear any voices advocating. None.
None.
Because
None
if
at
it was the
all.
black kid that had beat the white kid, who now the white kid at 270 pounds is saying that he feared for his life when my son fought back because my son's black. That's funny to
So,
me.
as a mother, what kind of future do you dream for Jaden now beyond this point?
I
Being as though, what we're going to put it out there to GoFundMe, but like you said, I like what you said. You don't advocate just for Jaden, and that is the same way, same mentality I have. I don't advocate just for one person, one grandchild, one child. I was just saying, if I can advocate for anybody that I could reach and I
absolutely
could touch, this is the reason for B3U. It's not about just one race, one
no.
person. We should be advocating for everybody.
Part,
I believe they should
yeah.
just get rid of race and call it the human race.
Exactly, because
But
we are
what
all human. Our
we are
skin
all
tone doesn't
human
change our effect
beings.
because some people can be dark skinned and never have struggled a day in their life because they came into wealth, family wealth, generations. That's not just white people. And there are
Yes.
white people out there going through right alongside their constituents of color and their friends, and they're not
Mhm.
racist and they support
Right.
each other. It's plenty of single white and black mothers babysitting each other's kids, and they're getting the multicultural aspect because it is a necessity to support each other. And if I could
That's
do
right.
anything, that's what we need. Just like on base, every kid is a shade of green. And we
That's right.
teach that. And we
That's
teach
right.
that in the military. And if I could do anything, if the vim and vigor with which we strike up every other cause to change the names and tear down statues, how about we reinvest some of that money and get some qualified healthcare providers, some forensic psychologists that can look at that once a week, look at our pattern misbehaviors. Once a week, they review those 504 plans so that those children can be referred for additional help. And how about we stop taking money from the programs that keep kids from shooting up schools? These kids need mental health care. Mental health care professionals are a necessity in a blended environment for those who do not learn the same way. Neurodivergent kids react to different stimulus. And if that stimulus is them getting beat up, they are going to fight back. And when we fight back, when we reach a point that everybody's beat us up, we black out. This is where you take people on the spectrum and you make killers out of them because you don't listen. And that
Mhm.
knows no racial bounds. Those kids
Mhm.
that shoot up schools are kids that have suffered. They've suffered
That
a lack
suffered.
of something
Yes.
somewhere, be it the absence of parental love and supervision. So they're
Mhm.
bullies, or these kids who feel like they're unloved that are taking their own lives because their parents are getting bullied too because their parents are poor. Their parents have a demographic in which they're embarrassed of, and these kids are getting picked on for circumstances they cannot help. They can't go get a job. Their main job is to be students. If we don't start to get advocacy at that level and start involving CPS and stuff other than stealing children, how about reciprocal programs to rebuild the family? Rebuild the family at its core. Make it the goal to keep the family together instead of stealing people.
Since you are speaking today, I hope many ears will hear and action will be taken. Let me ask you about the community. Is anybody in that? Is it the community? Somebody helping you stay grounded? Who's helping you through these times?
With yourself and a few of my other veteran friends, and this is sad, there is no external community that is reaching out to console me other than the individual police officers that took it upon themselves. Officer Tawarek, Omar Tawarek. And look, let me tell you something about him. Because he comes from a Persian background, a Middle Eastern background at first, the reverse prejudice that existed because nobody really wanted to give him a chance. And I have that on inside information because I know who I associate with. But the chief gave him a chance. And shout out to the police chief of Petersburg, who is breaking some of this monotony and doing his best, their best, because they're trying. But the complicit officers that don't want to do their job because there's too
Mm.
much going on here. We got shootings going on up and down Crater Road. The police are exhausted too. And although
Yeah.
I empathize with them, that's still not an excuse when it comes to our junior children. But they're not doing anything for the, there's no funding for ride-alongs. There's no funding to build a community where the children trust the police. There's a bunch of drug addict parents out here raising
Mhm.
kids like feral cats,
Mhm.
and there's no community outreach. There's no funding for it. And then the funding that starts at the beginning of the year is usually depleted. There is
Yeah.
nothing out there as far as Afro Indigenous resources right here in Petersburg. I have seen nothing. Not even an after school group where he can go as an Afro Indigenous young man and connect with culture because well, you're black, go to the YMCA. I'm like, what the hell did you just say to me? I'm looking for cultural aspects where my son can go with other Afro Indigenous folks and learn to make some regalia, learn to do something reconnecting, learn to be in a drummer's circle. See, the things that'll keep my child in culture will also keep him from committing crimes and doing those things because culturally he'll be honor bound. So I'll know that if he's participating in culture, if he chooses to step outside, it's not for a lack of immersion in culture. It's a personal choice. That his autonomy is making him choose to do the wrong thing. But in the absence of adequate resources for these kids, what choice do they have to include the young man who attacked my son? What do they have?
Yeah.
It
So,
costs too much for sports. We no
mhm.
longer have any people. Look, there's a lot of money out, people out there who could donate a lot of money so youth sports could be free in these areas, and they don't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, they
live on
don't.
my VA
Mhm.
pension alone. I didn't get concurrent receipt because trust if I did, I would take my money and put it into the community, and what little I have, I do.
Yeah.
But without those
Mhm.
people who have deep pockets doing more things than building bars and building libraries, we need sports programs. We
Mhm.
need, look, I get it. The school library is a start. Building
Mhm.
commemorative libraries for kids who can't read. So they're never going to go to them.
And as a veteran, well, you already know this is why, and I'm a true believer that if we're going to complain, and if you're going to complain, then just be quiet. But if you want to make a difference, don't just talk about it, do about it. Do something about it. And that's the reason why I created my nonprofit. And that's what that I'm just so into giving back to the community, helping the community. I have to sometimes ignore phone calls where I watch young women call month after month after month for the same money. And
Right? And
it's
it's
just
not
about
there. And
and
that's
the,
the thing. When we run out, when we have a little to give, and then it's difficult to walk away because you're tapped. Because personally, look, I reached out, a young lady, her son was being secreted from her by the child's father for 3 weeks. He cut off her phone. With what last little line of credit I had, I went and got that child a phone. She has a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And the father, because they had been cohabitating, had all the upper hand because he had financial locus control.
yeah.
But now I know. And then it's like somebody else asked me for help. That's all I could do. That's
That's it.
outside of taking care of my son. The ability to reach out, that was the last I could do was that phone. And see, organizations like yours we should never, especially when we want to go out and help. People don't understand when you're an advocate how difficult it is because you can't pick up the phone and advocate because you can't listen to another story to break your heart and say, I really wish I could do
Oh my
something
goodness.
because I can't take from my mortgage.
Yeah.
I can't take from my mortgage. I have to have a house for my child. And it pains me because there are times when I know that somebody could use that money I'm paying for my
Mhm.
mortgage to get them out of an abusive situation, and I
Mhm.
can't do anything for them. So if I could do anything, I ask people, I compel the audience out there to donate to your organization so we can get to work. We have things to do
Yeah.
with no funds to do them. And we have so many people who are in need. And all it is, skip one cup of coffee coffee a week.
Just one cup, one cup of
Five
coffee. It
dollars
is
goes a
so.
long way in mailing out and buying paper and going to do presentations to put gas in our car to go help someone out of a situation. That
It is
stuff, it
so
goes
hard.
so far.
It is so hard during this time of year, especially to watch children. You know, it gets cold. But when you sitting and you watching children in an empty parking lot with drug addict
Yep.
parents or parents, and you have to sit and watch children freezing cold, it's like I could not sit back. And we are both
No,
retired veterans.
exactly.
All of the money that I get is mainly from my
And
pockets.
it's look, and it's these agencies as well. When people are
Oh, the
tapped out like this,
agencies are
give those
horrible.
coats. Why in the world? Why in
Yeah,
the world would you take a pair of scissors to a coat and throw it in a dumpster instead of use that clause for charitable donation and write it off
yeah,
because managers are too lazy to do
too lazy.
reports, too lazy. So instead, oh, we're gonna dump it at Goodwill. Well, Goodwill makes a profit. Goodwill makes a profit. Take it to individuals like us who are washing these
Yes.
coats in our house to do coat drives.
You better speak today. You speaking today because a lot of my donors will not take it to Goodwill. They give it
Exactly.
to me, and I want to thank
Come
all
to
of
my
them for
house.
that.
I'm going to make sure that I put it in there so there's no bugs. I'm going to make sure it
That's
smells
right.
downy fresh. I'm going to make sure that whatever child it came to would be no different than if I handed it down from one of my grandchildren. And I do. My grandson's clothes go to other children because I know that they're taken care of. And when I thrift
Mhm.
and I move things from other veterans, they go to needy families. If I know somebody who's giving away clothing for a 4 to 5 year old child, guess what? I swap out if they need my microwave because I know
Mhm.
somebody is going to be young and need the clothing for that child. So and you know what? A lending locker is something we desperately need. We don't
Mhm.
have a lending locker where, I mean, if somebody wanted a rototiller, donate that and you come to the lending locker, you borrow the rototiller so you can plant your garden. These are
Yeah,
things that a
that we
community
need.
needs.
We need it. Finally, Naoki, I want to, if you could speak directly to the audience today, for those watching, what do you want the world to know about Jaden, about justice, and about never giving up?
Jaden right now is kind of the poster child for those kids who go above and beyond with special needs. So I want for every parent out there who has a child on the spectrum or with some other special need, I want you to remember that their capabilities are so much greater than people put out for them. Jaden's capacity to love and reach out to this other student. I want everyone to know that he's not a perfect kid. He tries to get in trouble like everybody else. Just unfortunately,
He's a
he's not
kid.
as slick. But
Mhm.
for him and for I mean for all children, children, and it's not necessarily just children with special needs. Some of our kids out there that might not have academic needs have special needs emotionally. And
Mhm.
when we take it, be an active parent. Take those 5 minutes, and I compel you, ask your child what's going on because they're being told don't talk to your parents, talk to me on online, make
Mhm.
friends online. They're
Mhm.
being groomed, and not just
Yes.
sexually, they're being groomed for
Mhm.
violence. And since we
Mhm.
don't see our kids get sex trafficked or picked up every day, they're being hijacked by these computers. Get the net nanny. Get on those computers, get in these phones, know what your children are doing, lock down that screen time, and go through that phone, know their friends. Stop letting these appliances raise your children because it is a hotbed for trouble. These kids are acting out violently with no remorse because it's normalized through these platforms.
You know what? That the social media sometimes some of the parents babysitters. That's the problem too.
Absolutely. And so
That's
is
the problem
YouTube. But
too.
see, they get in a habit
Mhm.
of letting these kids watch YouTube, and some of that content on YouTube is not for children.
It's not. You know, I just learned that YouTube Kids, you even have to monitor that.
Yes. That's where I got the most offended because on YouTube Kids, I'm going through something that I think is age appropriate for a
Hmm.
child who likes YouTube videos. And there's a grown person with language that mimics the language so they don't get demonetized. But when I'm seeing on a YouTube Kids, I didn't even know, God forbid, I'm sorry, but I just wasn't with it. That little eggplant emoji, all these other emojis that mean something else,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
our kids know that I got to go and get a concordance to translate what's being said on a phone. I learned some stuff I can't even unlearn. And the problem is they learned it online. So if
Online.
we could hold these folks accountable, and I get everybody, oh, free speech, free speech. Well, some of these platforms, you don't want your 15-year-old daughter having free speech on, sir. So if you're going to talk about free speech, let's talk about your 15-year-old daughter is damn near topless on the internet, but you want free speech, but you are not policing what your child is doing. Or some of these people out here professing that, oh well, the internet's not raising my child. Your child is the one who is going to school being a bully because somebody else on the internet is hyping him up to go after the kids who won't accept him. So now he is the anti-hero. Now they're taking comic books and mixing it with real life. So you get these folks acting out these comic book scenarios who are in desperate need of mental health. Mental
Yes.
health. When you catch somebody who's broken, you can break them further.
One more time, mental health. One
When
more.
you mental health, because when you catch somebody who's broken, you can break them further if they do not have adequate mental health sources.
That is so correct. Naoki, I just want to thank you for coming on B3U, for taking your power back, for that tries to be taken from you. And I just applaud you for being an advocate, not only just for your son, but all those in the community. And I look forward, my sister in arms, working with you to have
Absolutely.
justice be done. To my audience, we will put the GoFundMe up. We will send any link in any way that I can help. Let's do it
Thank you.
together because this is what it's all
Yes,
about.
it's bigger than my baby. And that's what I tell
It
everyone. It's
is.
bigger than my baby. And I've been mistreated by the police departments because they keep this individual mentality. That child is still at school. What happens if he has another fluctuation in his mood swings? What happens if an anniversary hits for mom or dad going to jail or mom's death
Mhm.
and he turns against another student?
Mhm.
Because Jaden's situation wasn't taken seriously. And
Right.
I could be the mouthpiece for my baby. But the fact of the matter is, if that little boy would have been open to it, he could have come over here and got hugs and loves because I got
Mhm.
enough mom to go around. And so I can be upset at what he did, but I'm more upset at the system that failed him too.
Yes. Yes, the system has. And that is so true words spoken. You have a beautiful heart. And may you be blessed beyond measures. We're gonna keep a close watch. You already know that.
Absolutely.
We're
Look,
gonna
we've
keep a
got work
close
to
watch.
do. We've got work to do. And mobilizing, look, moms first. Look, I come from a tribe that matrilineal leadership was everything, and the women took the helm on everything. Men couldn't even go to war without the permission of the women in the Eastern Woodlands tribes. And when we gather as women, because only a woman can reach through the ether and bring back a soul. So you must have her permission before you put it in harm's way. He doesn't have a mom. So who will stand in with that energy on the behalf of this child and ask for his help? I will,
That's right.
because he went against the maternal order of things and tried to take my child. In my culture, I'm obligated to seek assistance for those who try to harm me. And sometimes it's hard, but somewhere somebody failed him too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
And
tough. It's tough to love when you want to hate.
yeah, it is. It is. But we're going to keep doing the good work. We're going to keep in touch. We're
Amen.
going to keep educating. We're going to keep empowering,
Advocacy through empathy. Advocacy through empathy.
and
We
we're
have
going.
to understand from both perspectives. Otherwise, it's just a witch hunt on either side, which is what I learned. When they
That's right.
can't lay fault on one or the other, instead of turning inwards to see where it occurred, where we can prevent it, they want to point fingers. Both these children were failed by the school system,
Hmm. Hmm.
both of them. So we got to look at these systems that are in place that continue to fail. Hold these facilitators accountable. Hold them accountable. Stop sweeping stuff under the rug. I get it if you lose a teacher, but wouldn't you rather lose a teacher who's ineffective than allow a teacher who's being abusive to children and breaking rules to continue to do this and put your school system at a liability for a lawsuit? Because right now, let's face it, I have to lawyer up for this situation. Do I
Yes.
want to sue the school and deplete resources? No, I do not. But without that, without some kind of punitive damage, they will continue to fail to act because it's been since sixth grade and he's in 10th grade now.
Yes. Yes. So I thank you. And
Thank you, sis,
we're
for
gonna
having me
take back the
on.
control
Yes,
and
yes,
the
yes.
power that is
Prayer,
rightfully ours.
prayer, power, and perseverance, sis. Prayer, power, perseverance. That right there on my mirror. Prayer, power, perseverance. Because we are not going to give up until we see the change that we want to see.
That's right. Well, I will not give up. I will not give up. And here at B3U, I want to thank all my listeners for tuning in because we are in effect of taking back power and
Thank you for
control of
having
our own
me.
lives.
Thank you, new friends and future friends who are out there who listen to my story. I hope reach out to us if you want to be a part of this. We do. We need an active base to keep this stuff moving because it's not just one child, it's the wellness of every child and those who are coming behind. Thank you.
Miss Naoki.